Alright, hello everybody, welcome to another Warframe video, and this one's gonna be a little bit different. It was actually requested via a pretty sizable donation on a stream by a sir now known as the Mad Lad Vlad, and I genuinely thought it was a really good idea, so here we go. This video is basically gonna serve as a hub for my other videos that cover patch notes and major changes done to the game, so that when you log into the game for the first time after taking a break or something, you're not just standing in your orbital like, why is my stuff not working? What is this over here? Why is that over there? Who is this black lady who keeps talking to me? And so on and so on and so on. Now, the way we're gonna do this is I'm gonna go over what I deem to be the most important updates from Fortuna to today, and I will briefly talk about each update. So you can sort of get a basic idea of what each update is about, but the more important thing is gonna actually be in the description, where I will put links to all the videos that explain these patches in depth chronologically, so starting with Fortuna and going on and on and on until today, and they will of course be labeled so that it's easier to navigate. So starting off, we have update 24.0. This is the Fortuna update, which added Fortuna, Orb-Valis, and the Solaris United faction. This is fairly similar to the Plains of Eidolon with Cetus and the Ostron, so you have a big open world with a town and a faction that lives in that town that sends you out to do bounties, catch fish, and mine ore. It was of course a more refined version of the Plains of Eidolon, and there were some differences. For example, we now have the K-Drive, which is like a skateboard that you can ride around and that has its own faction with the vent kits. Instead of being able to build modular melee weapons via the Zol system, we can now build modular secondary weapons via the kit gun system, and they added a new animal preservation activity where you go out into the Orb-Valis, you track down rare animals, and then you trunk them and bring them back. A little bit after that, we got update 24.2, the Profit Taker, which added the first major boss fight to the Orb-Valis, the Profit Taker, which is a giant orb mother, and it's kind of like the Terrorless in the Plains of Eidolon. Now, accessing this fight is different than accessing the Terrorless in the Plains, where you just go out at night. Here you have to do a series of bounties that sort of get the entire Fortuna ready to fight the Orb Mother, and then you also need to put a Gravimag on one of your arc guns, which is a new system that was introduced which allows you to use an arc gun in atmosphere. After that, we got update 24.3, which was the first season of Nightwave, and that was basically a rework for the alert system. So instead of having random alerts pop up at random times, you now get a set of challenges every week and every day. Once you do those challenges, you get a bit of standing, and as you get more and more standing, you progress through different ranks of the Nightwave, unlocking some free stuff, and you also get credits that you can then spend in a specialized shop to buy the things you would previously get from alerts. Then we got update 24.4, Buried Depths, which introduced Hildrin, a brand new Warframe, as well as the reoccurring Thermia Fracture event to the Orb-Valis. Now, this was kind of like the Ghoul Purge event we get in Plains of Eidolon, but there was actually a purpose to it, because the resource you farmed during this event was then used during update 24.5 and onwards with the Deck 12, which added a second orb fight to the Orb-Valis, which is also, by the way, accessed via a bounty, just like the Profit Taker. And the final update of the bunch here was update 24.6, which was the Plains of Eidolon remaster, which completely changed the graphic and tweaked the terrain a little bit. It added the conservation activity from Orb-Valis to Plains of Eidolon, and it also added the Thumper mini-boss that you can encounter in the Plains of Eidolon during the day. Next on the menu, we have update 25.0, which was the Jovian Concord, which reworked the Jupiter tile set. It also added a new sentient boss fight to the Jupiter tile set in the form of the Ropalolist. It added the Disruption game mode, which is really fun, and it also added Wisp, a brand new frame. After that, we got update 25.2, Wukong Revisited, which completely reworked Wukong and gave him a brand new skill set that's much better than the old one. Then there was update 25.3, the Emissary, which was just the second season of Nightwave, the Infested one, and this was just a continuation and refinement of the Alert rework. After that came 25.6, which were some augment tweaks. Well, it tweaked most of the somewhat useless augments in the game and made them much better. And the final update of the bunch here was 25.7, Saint of Ultra, which added the Gauss Warframe as well as expanded the Disruption game mode, so there were now more nodes that had the Disruption game mode. And then we have some big ones, starting off with 26.0, the Old Blood. This introduced a new Warframe in the form of Grendel. It reworked Vauban and Ember. It added weapon Exilus mods. It introduced the second stage of the melee rework, which was far more impactful than the first stage, and finally it added the Kuva Lich system. And there's way too much for me to explain here in this short, sort of concise hub video, so I would very much recommend, if you want to know more about this update, to go in the description and watch the full video. And then we got 26.1, which was Rising Tide. Now this reworked the orbiter a little bit, so it looks a little bit different, and there's like a skylight in the main room near your arsenal, but it also added the dry dock room to our dojo, so that we were able to build our railjack before the next update, so we were ready for it. And then came 27.0, which was the Empyrean update, which finally added a railjack, which is a giant ship you can construct in your clan's dry dock. You unfortunately do have to be in a clan to get the dry dock, and you can fly it around in some somewhat basic missions at the moment. Once again, just like with the Old Blood, there is just way too much stuff to explain here, so I would recommend you go and watch the video that's linked in the description. Now after that came update 27.1, which focused mostly on Q-Value changes, because the initial Q-Value system introduced with Old Blood wasn't received all that well, because it was very grindy and it had RNG layered on top of RNG layered on top of RNG, so they added a bunch of quality of life stuff and removed a lot of the randomness from the system. Then came another really big update, which was 27.2 Warframe Revisited, and this completely reworked status effects and status in general. It changed enemy scaling both in terms of armor and health, and it finally added shield gating into the game. And the way that works is that whenever shields are depleted, whether it be on you or on an enemy, a short invulnerability window kicks in. This, however, can be bypassed on enemies by hitting their weak spot. Then after that we got 27.4, which was Railjack Revisited, because just like the Q-Value system, the Railjack system wasn't that well received, mainly because it was buggy and unintuitive and kind of just not balanced, so this focused mostly on rebalancing and quality of life changes in Railjack. Then fairly recently we got update 27.5, which was Glassmaker, and this was the third season of Nightwave, so once again the continuation and refinement of the Alert rework. This one is currently, at the time of recording of this video anyway, still running. Then finally we have update 27.6, the Deadlock Protocol, which is scheduled to come out this week, and this one will rework the Jackal boss fight, add the Protea frame, introduce primary kit guns, and rework the Corpus ship tile set. And that is pretty much it for the video, so I thank you very much for watching. As always guys, I hope the video was helpful, and I will see you some other time. Bye bye.